Nailed that shit.
Nailed it.
Oh, right. All right. We got 2 viewers. It said 0. It's like it's going to be one of those nights. How we doing?
Doing good. It's Friday. Long weekend. Very thankful for that.
I hear you. So what's the headline?
The headline for tonight, I think for me, was "The Music Plays On."
There you go. We'll go with that. I think mine was the nod to unity and the self-sacrifice it takes to collaborate. We're going to go with that. So we opened up with the Sam Cooke classic, "Let the Good Times Roll." I mean, it's, it's a vocal exercise, basically. Let's get, there's no jam to it. There's no.
Yeah. I bet it's a nice opening song though, because it kind of gets you warmed up, right? Like it's got to be such a nice.
You sing
easy...
along, you're swaying, your buzz is still kicking from the beers in the lot. Yeah.
And like for them, it's warms the vocals up, kind of gets you in tune, and then ripping into a bucket, which is always silly and fun. One of those songs that's like Miracle, like ridiculous lyrics and like just like 80s, So
nice,
but it's good.
Nice intro to it. Bucket has not picked up. Bucket was the same as it's been, but I like the slow jazzy intro. It kind of eases you into that it isn't going to be the ripper that you would get in 1987,
No, not at all. Right.
Which is fine. It still has the impact. It's the lyric, it's the line. They're masters at least I'm enjoying the ride. Bobby, I would call it like a vocal slow build, but you have to have a great line in order to be able, at least I'm enjoying the ride. And everybody's like, yes. And it just keeps pumping and pumping.
But some of those other lyrics are just ridiculous. Like Rider in like
biker,
a tidal wave.
About the bikers. And
like, I mean.
Have you seen the video?
Oh, yeah.
That video with the duck? What's up with the duck? This is questions we need answered. So, all right. So Big Railroad Blues. I am all good with Mayer doing that. I think it's perfect. It fits his wheelhouse.
Yep. I agree. It's very upbeat, jammy, like that tone, and definitely him. And same thing with like Chimente, like him, and they can go back and forth. They can really.
They need to get a room.
They do. Some of those photos and the way they look at each other these days is so. It's just.
How are you going to break them up? They need.
How are you going to break them up?
All right. So here's my thing with this set. I'm gonna. This is where it became the set it was with the Sailor Saint. The first night and Arizona, there was a huge jam. There was the St. Stephen, and then there was the Dark Star Cumberland. The second night of the Forum was a standard set. This one turned into a standard set instead of one that was going to have a 20-30 minute segment. That was, the Sailor Saint was good. I'm always going to take that.
I know you like that. That's one of those for me that it's definitely on my downside. Like I just, Saint is fun sometimes, but like Bobby it's too Bobby cheese for me with his thing. And Sailor, I just can't stand the lyrics. Like that's one of those songs that you say how much you hate lyrics and songs and things like that. That one just drives me crazy, and I'm just like, I just can't. And these days, especially, that it's even slower and like more drawn out. I'm just, to me, I'm just like, those are two I can do without.
I've always heard, this may be rumor, lot rumor, but they stopped doing Sailor, the Dead did, because Jerry didn't like having shade thrown at him. He was the lost sailor. It was the drugs. That's, what Barlow wrote the lyric about. And Jerry's like, fuck that, man. I don't want to hear that shit.
Like, I don't want to sing that shit.
And then we got the Ship of Fools. Now, the Ship of Fools, if you noticed, had Mayer and O'Teal singing. And so I texted my buddy and I was like, is it always the two of them? And he was like, yeah, it's always been the two of them. So I don't know how I missed that before.
Yeah, I was wondering. That's funny you say that, because thought the same thing. I think there was another song tonight too, later on, that I thought the same thing, because they were going, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize. But yes, that was one of those as well. That I didn't know that.
Exactly. And then we got Brown Eyed
Brown-Eyed
Women,
Women.
which
Yeah.
okay, here's my thing with the all right. I have what I call the Europe 72 trifecta. That album had Ramble on Rose, Brown Eyed Women, and Tennessee Jet, and I lumped them together because they sound the same. The Americana thing, they are interchangeable with what Jerry did with them in Setlist. And we got a Brown Eyed Women tonight, which is the second one in 4 shows. And we got a Ramble on Rose, but we haven't heard of Jed yet.
Yes,
I thought Jed was tonight for sure. So
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's a when's the Tennessee show? Are they playing Tennessee?
No, they're playing Atlanta, so it probably will show up Sunday night.
Yeah.
Right. When I saw them at Bonnaroo in 2004, the Dead or whatever it was, whatever iteration with Joan Osborne, they opened up with Alabama Getaway and not Tennessee Jet. I was like, good for you.
The only thing I remember about seeing that incarnation of them was they played out here at down in Irvine. We used to be like the Irvine Spectrum, and I went down there, and there was a terrible China Doll that night that they played, and like one of my least favorites, and I was just like, oh my god, suffering through.
You don't like the sad ones. That one's about suicide.
I know, and it kills. I just can't.
It kills the mood, literally.
And that's one of those, yeah, exactly. But that's one of those that, especially without Jerry singing it, I can't, anybody else sing it just doesn't do it anyway. So you're just like, I can't, no.
Exactly.
No.
But what I will say about Brown Eyed, it has that little jam section in
yeah.
It gets a little.
And see, that one kind of also goes like we said with Big Railroad Blues. It has that kind of sound in it that he can that he jams in and has that same tone.
It's his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
he does what a bass player for another band doesn't do. He chooses songs that are in his vocal range, and he rolls with it.
And he plays, yes, and those work, and it sounds good, and it's appropriate, and then he jams, and then it's in his it just all sounds together, it all flows together.
And then we got music to close. Now, I'm wondering what happened to Easy Answers. There was a point where they were doing music, Easy Answers, music, and Easy Answers was the only connection we have to 90s Dead. They don't do So Many Roads. They don't do Lazy River. They don't do Eternity. Any of those songs would be so fantastic, and for a while, Easy Answers popped up in the middle, but I guess it's been dusted back into the history books.
Yeah. I wonder why. That's a good question. But I always like, that's why I was saying my headline of the night, because this was my favorite tune of the night. I always love a music, but this one I thought the jam was a little extra and a little and for the last song to go out with it, they kind of kicked it in a little bit, and it was solid.
That
sounded to me, it was the best song of the night because it sounded like the last show, which was and kind of the first 2 shows as well, like that run of 3. Because I didn't think tonight's show is as all around put together as the first 3.
If we were ranking, this would be at the bottom now. This show, but we are not ranking.
We're not tiering.
We might tier it later. Maybe we'll tier it. All right, everybody, subscribe. There's a little $sign if you want to throw us a couple bucks. That would be the hippest. You can do it either with the live chat or later. If you're watching later, comment. If you're watching now, comment. We probably won't put it up because it's just me and T, but we appreciate it. We will see it and read it and possibly respond.
We can slap a couple of them. There you go. Say the lyrics were about that. See.
Oh, there we go. So,
oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God, nice. Where were they?
Yeah, that would have been a great encore. Once we get there, we could talk about that. But yeah, that would have been
perfect. Totally. So, and Wednesday night, join us as always. Wednesday nights have basically turned into us just hanging out and talking about the news of the week. So think of it as the Wook plus Live headline show or something like that.
Hangout headline show.
The Hangout headline show. And let's jump back in with set 2. Another Jack Straw in 4 shows.
Yep.
Actually, probably it's a third in 5 shows, right? They did it at Cornell. It's a third in 5 shows.
Yep.
But it's different. I don't know if you remember, for a long time, Jack Straw Weir changed it, and he'd be like, "We can share the women, we can share the wine," and take a full measure of the music before he sang the second line. And he's dropped that. I think he realized that took away from the dynamic of the song.
Yep, I agree.
So, oh, nice, good job switching that.
Yep.
so the trucking, it was, trucking is what it is, but it took an almost immediate jazzy turn, and then boom, they were out of there. It was like 3 or 4 minutes.
Which I think, because when you look at that first, I mean, even up to drums, Jack Straw trucking playing Uncle John's, you'd think that would be like a good. There'd be at least a couple jams in there that, I mean, we know what they've done with Jack Straw, as we've talked about before,
right.
And not
and the trucking, but the playing,
trucking didn't really.
some...
I mean, trucking still, it's like it doesn't have that kick, and especially when it doesn't have the jam to it. When you like to go someplace,
right?
It doesn't, and you're just kind of, because I thought they also did that with the Uncle John's band kind of got out there, but I thought drums came in like
right. They
quicker.
closed it down. I love the sandwich. I wish the reprise had been there. We would be remiss if we did not mention, though, that for the sound check they did Ship of Fools, Playing, and Standing on the Moon, which we get all 3 of tonight. I feel like, oh my God, I think we missed a song. Did we?
What'd you miss?
I think He's Gone was in there, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was.
Trucking, He's Gone.
Trucking, yeah.
Fire the whatchamacallit?
Producer.
Fire the producer. So He's Gone. I thought He's Gone made up for trucking.
Yeah.
So I mean, it had some nice things. It's the line. It's all about the line with the Dead. Again, with nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. Hot as a pistol. Every line in there.
Steal your face right off your head.
That's all you needed,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you could hear the cheers. The steal your face right off your head.
Oh my God, yeah.
All of it. You could hear it. So it's one of those icon. Yeah. What has all the.
Pretend like that other set list wasn't up there. I was a big fan of the Playing Uncle John's. Like I said, I like the sandwich. I get again tonight they ended Uncle John's and went into drums. There wasn't a jam into drums,
Yep. And I think that lacks too. Like I like when you get somewhere, like especially when it really goes, like, which is not often, but when it really goes somewhere, it's awesome. But it's one of those songs that like has the potential. And tonight, it kind of bailed into drums, which then became it's gotten so it's like drums, beam, space. Right. Like it's because
there was no OTL banjo bass this time.
No, it was back there on banging on the drums with them.
Right, it went right into Apocalypse Now, what I call the Apocalypse Now drums, as opposed to the rock drums when Jay stays out on his kit,
Yeah. And can we just talk about for a second the ridiculous camera dissolves and things happening?
Oh, I know. They got to go with that. I get it. It might be cool when you're there.
And fun sometimes, but it's just overkill. And then they do it the whole show with the fade ins and outs from his keyboards and the mayor's hands, tight shot, and then pan back. And then you never just get a nice for once you're same thing with officials. You never just get a nice shot of the stage with the lights and then playing for a little bit. Just let me.
I don't care if they're tiny, right?
Right. I just want to see the full perspective of everything. I don't always need to be tight shots on every single person.
There is something, I tell you what, the second show I ever saw was 87 at JFK. And it was the Dead played a 3-hour set, and then Dylan and the Dead played for an hour and a half, right? Third song, it was Jack Straw, Iko, Sugar Ray, right? I ate 4 album covers, which were 4 apiece. So it was way too much for my 16-year-old ass. During Sugar Ray, they're messing with the screens. They have Jerry doing a trail thing. And I turned to the woman next to me and I'm like, are they messing with the screens? And she looks up, she goes, no. And I was like, oh my God, I went into tunnel vision. And it took me from the third song to Terrapin, which went in drums, so that much space in a whole first set and that much of a second set before I came down. And when I finally came down, Phil's saying everybody's sitting up on the upper ledge, which is where I ended up from, right in front of the stage to the highest ledge of JFK. Everybody needs to get down off there, because you could sit on the ledge and there was nothing to catch you. You were out in the fucking
backside.
And I was just like, oh my God. But by the time Dylan came on 4 hours later, I was the happiest I'd ever been. And it had to be one of the greatest things I ever saw. God help me. All right. So we got some really angry beam action in the beginning. I think Mickey is on tour just to do the beam.
I agree. No, that's what I was saying, is that's his moment. Like I think he like tries to push the other two off drums anyway, as much as he's like, dude, all right, you're good. I got this.
5 minutes, we're good.
Yeah, I got this. And then he's got like golf gloves on and like
all the computers. He has like more computers than a DJ in front of him.
The skeleton DJ and
the skull. What's up with the skull? I asked our friend what was up with the skull, and he's like, I don't know. It either is triggered by something or it triggers something. And I was like, all right, fair enough. We'll go with that. So then we get into space. There was some jazz song in there. I don't know what it was. You know how they like to throw out a Miles or a Coltrane. I believe there was. I could be making that shit up. But Chimente seemed to latch on early to Watchtower. And then Mayer pulled it back.
You can hear it forming in that space. Yeah, there was a lot of in that space that had those elements to it, so you could hear it forming early.
Right. Chimente kept going to he knew it was coming, and like Matt told us, maybe he was like, Matt told Chimente, we're on a schedule. Let's get out of the space quick. And they did. He led, and finally Mayer relented. And I think this goes to my Unity thing, and like the lyrics to Uncle John's Band, the give and the pull. When you're collaborating with other people, improvisation, you really have to let go of yourself. Sometimes you have to be, maybe Mayer wanted another 10 minutes of noodling around, but you got
to reel it in. And that's, but I think, I remember last year, 2 years ago, when he talked about that, and the way the unselfishness of the jam now, and like, it's more fun to hand it off than it is to actually play it and that kind of thing. So I feel like when that, especially because Bobby reels him in so much, so often, but I think it's one of those things that when any of them really know that it's time to or want to move, there's a first and second feel for that and time to go, and then they relent and go.
You throw your idea out there, see if somebody latches on. And it seems like Mayer and Chimente are driving the band. Weir's kind of just taking his cues from where they go. He's probably fine with that. He's like, cool, let me see where he's completely ego free. I mean, he's Satori, and Watchtower is sexy. I love Watchtower. There was a nice little spacey section after the Riders verse. So, the last verse. So Mayer got his spot in a little bit there. And then we got the reprise.
Yeah, which is nice. It was a fun little
great
segue
sequence
into it.
Yeah, great sequence there. I mean, classics, I don't know if you remember, if you've listened to the tapes in 87. Obviously, I didn't see those shows. And you didn't either. But if you listen to like going up to when they dropped the Watchtower at the Greek in 84, you can hear them teasing it for nights on end. Like they were like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it at some
coming.
Point,
one of these nights.
It's fun. And then we got, I don't need a geography lesson. And we'll just go with that.
I don't know. It's a very powerful song, and it's one of those that falls in that category of like when the master did it. I mean, I bawled my eyes out 2 times to this song live. Like
there was a crescent tonight. There was a crescent moon tonight, though. So good for Matt for
pulling it out and doing it. And I mean, it's still an emotional song. It's still beautiful. It just doesn't have that emotional gut punch like it used to.
Right.
But
hey,
there's worse songs that can go there sometimes, and there's also better songs that can go there sometimes.
If anybody's out there listening who writes set lists for Dead and Company, would love to hear Days Between at Nissan. If we still do it, I don't know if we do.
But what would have really been fun is coming out of that playing reprise into like a Going Down the Road into the Not Fade Away. Like
Yeah.
Bring like
Going down the road. Where's that? That's
yeah,
such a
like
good call.
throw that out tonight, you know, and
Oh,
like let that kind of jam us into the Not Fade Away like it used to, and then
right. I always was a throw and not fade away guy.
yeah.
Right. You know, it was way popular in the 80s. They probably did that combo as much as a China Rider or something, but it always worked. The,
It
the
always
thing was,
worked.
remember at the end, you know, they did it tonight. At the end, they stopped and the crowd was quiet, but then you got the clapping and you
Yeah.
remember when the dead would go out and they'd be like, bop, bop,
Bop,
bop,
bop.
and
Yep.
then everybody, you know, be singing. There was not that's unity again. That's the thing. And I feel like the Not Fade Away had a real 77 feel to it. It was loose, it had space in it, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's fun. And it's one of those, it's fun to leave on, right? Because again, your unity thing, it like crowd involvement, you're
Yeah.
excited, you're like, you
You're hearing
know,
in your head, it's just dump, bump, 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 bump. You're like, yeah.
yep. Yeah, you know, and it's and these days, if you clap on for just a little bit, they come back so quickly.
I
Like
know, yeah, they're like 2 minutes.
their
Basically,
encore
they're
break is
stopping them before
fantastic.
they go backstage. Just finish it out.
Yep.
Finish it out. And we got a touch, you know, I'm a touch head. My first show was in 86 and then 87 they released In the Dark. I was there at JFK with 90,000 other people and probably 30,000 of us had discovered them in the past 2 or 3 years, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So I
It's
always have a little love for that. I
yeah.
like that they split the vocal. That's the other split. It was Bobby and Mayer split it on Touch.
And that's the one that I didn't know. That was the one I was saying earlier when we were talking about O'Teal and whatever. That one I didn't realize they did that. And even watching them, I wasn't quite sure if they had fucked up because like they kind of like the camera was off or something because they were showing the wrong person and you were like nobody's singing the verse and then like it
Right.
cut over and Bobby was singing the verse. I was like, oh, I didn't realize Bobby was singing or was Bobby picking it up because Mayer forgot to sing the verse? But it was weird because like the camera was on him and he wasn't singing and
Right. I did not ask about that. Maybe that's a new thing. I seem to remember Bobby singing it.
yeah, I thought so. That's why I was like, I don't know, but
Right. And
it
then
was
they rounded out my unity thing with, you know, the whole song is I will get by. And then at the end, when everyone's singing along, we will get by. You know, we're in this together. Okay, I got a lot of shit happening. The dog hasn't been fed, the rent hasn't been paid.
We'll get by.
But we'll get
We'll get
by
by.
because we're here together. And that's what I think it's all about. It's
But see, they could have saved that for the next for Atlanta and played the wait tonight, like you
all right,
said.
the
and
wait,
that's
yes, the
why.
wait, but maybe the wait will be in Atlanta.
But it's not Levon. Birthday
Help's
was tonight,
birthday,
right? It would have
right?
worked better tonight. So,
Right.
but
Maybe that wasn't on somebody's
Matt
calendar.
wasn't on that one. Could have dropped him a note.
Could have dropped them in there. All right, so tomorrow is Saturday. We won't be around. But on what's the next night? Sunday.
Sunday.
And it's Memorial Day weekend, so you're going to be up anyway. And it's an earlier show. We'll be an hour earlier. So
Right.
make sure you do that.
Atlanta, here we come.
Atlanta, here we come. Let's rock out.